Hello, I'm Bailo Jallo, and you are watching Scheffel Live. And we are African Voices, a show where we tend to discuss the achievements and also the issues that affect Africans in this country and abroad. And on today's show, it's a pleasure for me to introduce Mr. Benjamin Achimpong, who is the founder of or president of Wealth Masters, a company that guides businesses or startup businesses on how to start up a business, more like guiding them on their entrepreneurship. So, Mr. Benjamin, you are welcome to our show today.
Thank you.
As I said earlier, it's a pleasure for me to have Pastor Benjamin, who is also a pastor for some of you who might not know. Pastor Benjamin, like I said at the introduction, he is the founder or the president of Wealth Masters, which guides African businesses on how to continue or to further their businesses. So he does that across the UK and in some parts of Africa. And this week he was in Sheffield, and specifically on Saturday he was invited in Sheffield for him to give advice on some of the African businesses that are here in Sheffield on how to continue with their growth. So, Mr. Benjamin, if I can just start with the reason why you were in Sheffield on Saturday.
Thank you. I was in Sheffield Saturday, as you rightly said in your opening, that we were here to organize a seminar that I did entitle Entrepreneurship. That is bringing the entrepreneurs and leaders together in one place and actually helping them to understand how the entrepreneurship is all about and how as entrepreneurs should lead their organizations and to lead their teams. So that is why I was here Saturday.
So for some of us who might not know what is entrepreneurship or how it works, can you just give us a brief description of how it works and what are some of the challenges people who are intending to become entrepreneurs, what they face?
All right, thank you. What I want to say is that I'm not going to give any dictionary definition as to what entrepreneurship is all about. But we always know that there are people who work 9 to 5 as a job. So when you look at entrepreneurship, personally, what I say is that you can have a job, but your job is different from your work. Now, let me break it down a little bit. Your job is something that you're working for somebody's vision. You are furthering somebody's vision and helping the person grow his vision. In other words, you are exchanging your time for money. So the person now determines your value and then pay you based upon the time that you put in. Now, with entrepreneurship, you are now doing your work, which means that what you've been designed for, what you've been called to do, what problems are you solving? So with that one, nobody determines your value, but rather you determines your value as to how much you are valued based upon what you are doing, and then you command that fee to be paid. So you might, if you are on a job, by the way, job job is just over broke, which means that somebody now look at your time, you put in 1 hour, instead of 1 hour, I will pay you £8. But if you are an entrepreneur and you produce whether a product or service to solve a problem in either your community or whatever, you can say that this solution that I'm giving to this problem and is solving, people like, I would like you to pay me £200 per hour. So this is the kind of definition that I will give to entrepreneurship and then job.
So it's more like you deciding who you are, or you are kind of like paying yourself for your own time.
Yep.
Okay, so coming back to the events that you attended in Sheffield on the Saturday, so how was the event and how many businesses were involved?
Oh, wow, it was fantastic. I mean, I've been in Sheffield a couple of times, but the turnout today was phenomenal. And I didn't know that there are many people who actually entrepreneurs in Sheffield like that. Like the turnout today, it was awesome, it was great. And the kind of things that we learned and the networking aspect and people who are willing to exchange their time and their resources and inviting people to work with. I would say that it was phenomenal. I mean, from my point of view, I've been doing this for some time now. And what I saw in Scheffel last Saturday, it was brilliant.
So talking in an African perspective, so some of the businesses that were there, I guess many of them were Africans. So what are some of the challenges that these businesses are facing, or what were some of the tips that you gave to them in order for them to continue growing?
All right. I mean, let's look at this. Most of the African businesses, number one, you see the majority of them will always be telling you of capital injection into their business. And you realize everybody will tell you, I need money to put into my business. I need money to start a business. But we flip it around. And some of the things, some of the thoughts, some of the ideas that we give them, that you don't necessarily need capital to inject into your business. All that you need is a very good idea. Now, that idea, that thought, now bringing it out, putting it on paper, and now packaging that idea, packaging that product, and then selling it. All right. So some of the challenges the African business or people of African descent, they've been facing is how to actually take their idea, their concept, and now grow it for it to become a business to extent whereby they are not the ones going around looking for investors, but rather investors are looking to invest into their project. So these are some of the things that we share. These are some of the things that we encourage them. And then also, if you are running a company and you are employing people, okay, or you intend to employ people, there is a way that you need to run it. You can't run it like your own personal whatever, okay? I know that every entrepreneur, your business is your baby. But once you're employing people and you are inviting people to come and partner with you, you have to know how to now work it out. So this is where the leadership qualities comes in. So these are some of the things that we shared, and it was great. It was great.
You've mentioned quite a number of points here that are very interesting. But looking at it, talking of ideas and the capital or the money, so which one is more important sometimes? Because you might have the idea sometimes, but you don't have the capital. And sometimes as well, you've got the capital, but you don't have the ideas in order to make that grow. So which one, in your opinion, comes first, or which one is more important in business?
Okay, in business, this is what I'm going to say. Number one, every business, okay, must solve a problem. Must solve a problem. So if you've got an idea, it can just be an idea. But if that idea is solving a problem, trust me, people will come and invest in. Okay, so having an idea and not having money, and having money and not having an idea, I would say the other way around. Though if you have money, you can invest in other people's idea and then make money back. That is a good thing. But where the fulfillment lies, okay, is having an idea and then turning that idea in solving a problem. Okay, watch us solve the problem of time. If you take Facebook, for instance, Facebook solves the problem of bringing people together from far together in one place. So Facebook is solving a problem. And since the introduction of Facebook, there are people that, since we left school,
you use the word social media.
Social media. Let me use social media. Great, thank you. You realize that social media has brought people that you wouldn't have met them ever since your path crossed. But with the introduction of social media, we've come so close. We've come so close that we are able to do business. We are able to link up. We are able to talk. So what I would say is that having an idea is very critical as an entrepreneur. Once you have the money, then you now move from being a business owner to an investor. And if you know the quadrant that rich dad, poor dad taught about, so you become an investor and you invest the money. But I would say having an idea is a very good thing, and then also growing that idea or developing that idea and commercializing it, and then you will attract investors. But the good thing that I would say here is that having an idea and having money is phenomenal. Then you can invest that money into that idea and multiply your wealth.
Okay, moving on. you are a person who travels across the country and in some parts of the world as well. So what did you find in common with Scheffel, coming to Scheffel as a person who has been in Scheffel, I believe, not for the first time, but a number of times?
All right. If you take, I live in London, but I come to Sheffield a lot. These two towns are a bit different in terms of approach and attitude towards business. London is very hot, it's the business hub, everything moves fast. But in terms of passion and in terms of doing business, I wouldn't say that there's much difference. But the difference is that there are opportunities in Sheffield. I mean, today talking to most of the business people that came to the seminar, it was phenomenal. There are a lot of opportunities here. All that you need to do is to look around. Another thing that I would say that Saturday we saw was people were willing to partner and network. That is something that lacks in our African community, whereby 2-3 people can come together. So let's say if I have...
Sorry to interrupt you there. Do you think that has got to do with trust?
Definitely, it has got to do with trust. The reason being that we don't trust ourselves to the extent whereby we can do business together. But I always say that that trust can be eliminated because I'm not going to do business with you because you are my brother or my sister. You might be my brother, you might be my sister, but when it comes to business, then we need to go by the rule. We'll look into contract. It's not that I don't trust you, it's not that you are
family
not...
affairs far apart.
That's right. Because once you start doing business, it's just a matter of the money showing up, and then greediness falls in. So from the word go, I mean, having been around a lot of Africans and travel around and doing business among black people and African descent, one of the things that I said that from the word go, we need to sign contract. There must be a memorandum of understanding and the terms and conditions in which we are operating. Yes, if you look at leveraging, somebody might have the money, somebody might have the idea, somebody might have the time, somebody might have the resources. We need to quantify them and make sure that we are all bringing something to the table equally so that whatever that we need to look into, so that once profits start coming, okay, we're not going to decide, oh, how do we share it? Because from the word go, we've already tabled everything and we know where we are going.
So prior to you starting Wealth Masters, I believe there were a lot of uphill battles that you faced or challenges which you overcame. Looking at it from the word go, which you mentioned, as a business or as a person who is about to start up a business, being us living in the UK here, for example, sometimes we do find it coming from an ethnic minority background or coming from an African background, you find it challenging approaching a bank or companies to get the capital, even though you've got the idea. So what are some of the challenges that you face as an African, you know, when you were starting your company that you can pass on to our viewers who are like Africans or any other business, that they can take that as a tip in order for them not to face similar challenges? Or what would be the advice that you give to them to say, if you go down to any other company or to a company, they tell you, look, you're not going to be able to do it. What do you need to do in order to overcome the rejection?
All right, thank you. You see, in the first place, when I started this, and I want to say this clearly, I've never been to any bank to go and borrow money to start my business. And that is something that I want to share with everybody. Number one, your personal development is very key. Number two, you need to have a purpose. Number three, you need to live intentionally. Number four, you need to be willing to let certain things go in order to gain certain things. So number one, in early days, some of the challenges that I faced, some of the difficulties that, I thought that everybody was thinking like me. So I invited people to come along, and I realized along the way they would drop off. Number one, I couldn't rely on them. Number three, I mean, there was all kinds of trust issues, as you mentioned, breaking of promises and all kinds of things. Because I thought everybody was like me. Okay. Then what I realized, no. So I stepped back, and then I started looking at people for who they are, and then measure them based upon what they are saying and what they are. I look at more actions as to what you say. But one of the things that also helped me, and of which I think that is a challenge for most black people, is that they don't attend seminars to learn. how businesses are run. I've paid thousands of pounds to attend seminars, attend workshops. I mean, currently I'm even speaking to you, I have a coach, somebody who coached me. It's not that because where I've reached, okay, I know it all. There's somebody who knows, no matter how good you are at driving, you cannot always see your blind spot.
So it's like a learning process.
It's a learning process. So I've got a coach who will speak on weekly basis, monthly basis to actually know what I'm doing, correct me if I'm going wrong, assess my priorities. So I would say that the difficulties are there, but are you willing to learn? Are you willing to partner? Are you willing to pay for seminars and workshops to be able to learn from people who've done it? I mean, do you also read? Some of the challenges that I realize that within our people is that they don't like reading. They know it all. Once they finish university, they think that no, that the university has its role to play in your life and how to run a business. I mean, a profitable, successful business. You got to learn from people who've been through it and learn and done. And I believe that with this, whatever challenges that are in the entrepreneurship world or growing a business as a startup, you can always overcome it.
Okay, we've got about 5 minutes, which I believe you are originally from Ghana, which sadly, as you will know, you and I, last month we saw the passing of Kofi Annan, one of the continent's most popular and productive person. You know, as a Ghanaian, how do you feel when you noticed we've lost Kofi Annan?
Well, what I would say is that may he rest in perfect peace. Kofi Annan was a great icon. And I'm proud that I'm from a country that Kofi Annan comes from or originated from. In Ghana, I would say that we've lost a great man. But not only in Ghana, but Africa as a continent and the world. The man stood for one thing, for a global peace. And if you look at his ethos, the way he lived his life and the way he conducted himself and his activities, everything that he did was for humanity, to bring people together. So I think that his passing away is a great loss to us as Africans and Ghanaians and Black origin, and then also to the world. But I also thank God for Kofi Annan for what he did. He also left a legacy for the upcoming generation to follow.
Well, that was going to be my next question. So how do you think his legacy will be remembered? Because if you look at it, in Africa, that might be remembered in a different perspective. And in other parts of the world, it might be remembered in a different perspective as well. And talking of Africa, me being originally from Sierra Leone, and I can remember he's one of those who contributed to the ending of the war in Sierra Leone. But recently, I was talking to someone from Zimbabwe. You know, as you will know, the election just passed in Zimbabwe, and someone was not happy. Someone was like, oh, Kofi Annan was one of those who endorsed the current regime. He's one of those who legalized something that was illegal. So how do you think his legacy will be remembered across Africa?
All right, I would say his legacy is right there for us all to read from. You see, as every leader, that's what I've seen in my leadership journey. Every leader, at a particular point in time, you have to take a decision. And the decision that you will take or you will make at that time will be dependent on the factors that are available or the kind of information that is available. He took that decision based upon the factors and the decision that were available at that time. Maybe today looking on it, you might say that it's right or it's wrong. But whichever way, don't just use one instance to measure a man. Let's look at the span of life, a duration, a period. Then based upon that, you can make a fair judgment. As we Ghanaians, we will remember him as an icon. And looking at his lifestyle, if you look at his history, the man came from a small village, rose up through the ranks to become UN Secretary General. It inspires me a lot that I don't need to have everything to become what I want to become. No matter where I was born, it doesn't matter my color, it doesn't matter, yes, education played part, but you realize that his network resulted in some of the things that he was able to achieve. So Ghana is a great loss for us. It's a great loss, and we'll remember him for the things that, as a leader, he stood for.
And do you think Ghana or Africa will be able to produce another Kofi Annan in the future?
Well, one thing that I would say is that you cannot produce two people at the same time. But maybe there might be somebody who might be greater than Kofi Annan to come. You never know. But I would say that for now, we've lost a great man. We've lost a global icon. And we are in mourning still remembering him. But looking at Africa and the talent that we have, or maybe they might be 10 times better than Kofi Annan to come.
Well, thank you very much for your time. Unfortunately, that's all we've got time for tonight. I hope and believe Sierra Leone can do better, and that will be another Kofi Annan Sierra Leone will produce. Thank you for watching, and until next week, we are African Voices, and I am Bailo Jallo.